Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the campus, Arizona State University, on Blaze Radio. And now, it's time. Here's Weston DeWitt.
Yes! Welcome into the latest edition of the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Thank you for starting your Monday off here on a high note here with us. It is November 5th, 2017. A tremendous week in sports over the last 7 days. Eliav, how you doing today, man? You doing good?
I am always doing good with you, Weston. We are going to have another good one. Wow. Talk about one of the best World Series we've ever seen.
Yes, one of the best World Series we have ever seen. Let's dive right into it. So we unfortunately didn't get a chance to talk about this because Game 7 of the World Series was on Tuesday. And
Game 6.
The Houston Astros won the World Series in 7 games after a tremendous Game 7, which was highlighted by a 5-run give-up by HOU Darvish. And the Astros won 5-1. But before we get to Game 7, Game 6 was on Halloween night, October 31st, and the Dodgers won 3-1. And it was looking really good for the Dodgers. Tony Watson got the win. Kenley Jansen came in and got the save. But the thing was, they got to Verlander. The Dodgers got to Justin Verlander in the 6th inning.
Yeah, no, they survived Verlander. That was the goal for Game 6 for the Dodgers, is just survive Verlander. You know, Rich Hill did a great job. He really did. 2.08 ERA. He let up 1 run. And, you know, people were questioning Dave Roberts, you know, per usual this series.
Yeah.
If he took him out too early, just like in same thing with game 4, if he took him out too early. Well, Game 2. Excuse me. Well, I'll tell you this much: he didn't, and it's simple as that, because they started to read his pitches. All right, it was pretty clear they were getting on base. It was hot and heavy for Hill, and while he was quote unquote dealing, at the end of the day, the Dodgers are an analytics team, right? That's what they believe. That's what they know. And the analytics say, do not let Rich Hill see that top of the lineup for the third time. So it was getting to that point, and Dave Roberts did what he has done all year. And my philosophy is, in sports, just because it's the playoffs doesn't mean you have to change what you're doing.
No.
Unless it's desperation time and game, I don't know, 7 elimination game, you have to throw in, you know, a starting pitcher or for a reliever or something like that. But that's a very specific situation. Generally, in a regular game, well, it's not a regular game, but you know what I'm saying. When it's just a regular situation where it's what you would do anyway, do it.
Yep.
And he did that. And I have no problem with that, you know, and it paid off for them.
Brendan Morrow came in too. That was a questionable, bringing in Morrow after very short rest.
And after he just totally imploded.
Yeah, they gave up those 2 home runs in Game 5, which was unbelievable to see. I mean, you felt bad for the guy at the same time, but good for him to come in, pitch that 1 inning, allow just 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Tony Watson, as we mentioned, he got the win, got a big out. Kenta Maeda, what a great role he was out of the bullpen for the Dodgers in this entire playoffs, for that matter, not just the World Series. Then Jansen comes in, 3 strikeouts, Eliav, really shutting the door. His cutter was working. As prior to previous 5 games, his cutter was all over the place. Consistency was everywhere, but his cutter was working really well.
That was the first time almost in this series where you really saw that he felt comfortable.
Yeah.
He said after the game that daybreak was huge for him. And he wasn't trying to hide it. You know, it's like, oh no, I wasn't even shook or anything. He said, I needed that day.
It was big for everybody.
Yeah. And you saw You saw the results of it. He shut it down. The big K came in and took care of it. Seager's sac fly gave them the lead, and then Jock's homer in the seventh shut it down. And that's right. Give me my money. Whoever, I think it was Justin Turner. He said, "Pay up." Yeah. Whatever bet they had, which is just hilarious.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Game 7 happened, and HOU Darvish lost a fortune.
Yep.
Can we put that out there right now? HOU Darvish lost so much money in this World Series. Oh. It's actually a shame.
It is. And Darvish, I mean, look, I think HOU Darvish with the way Yuri Goriel's situation happened, I gained so much more respect for him with the way he responded.
From that perspective, for sure.
So from that perspective, I feel terrible for the guy. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, Eliav, Harley, 0-2 in the World Series. His ERA was 21. And that speaks volumes. You lost money, man. You lost a big paycheck that you possibly could have made $100 million more if you had pitched better in the World Series.
And now people talking about how he's tipping pitches, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. The same thing with the Dodgers. The Astros are also analytics. They see these things. They pay people to specifically watch for tips, watch for that. And I mean, they because he was on the Rangers, they saw him plenty. They had plenty to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty to work with. And you saw what happened in Houston and LA.
Yeah. And by the way, on that last run, McCann was on third base in that second inning to come home and score that run. Why was the infield not playing on the edge of the grass? I really was disappointed to see that was one decision that really stood out to me, specifically in Game 7. But the Astros, they won Game 5, and we're going to get to Clayton Kershaw in just a second. But 5-1, the Astros win. Congratulations to them. Justin Verlander wins a big World Series coming over from Detroit. Yes, he didn't choke necessarily in Game 6, but a tremendous World Series for him. And by the way, Carlos Correa, what a great moment there at the end of the game, getting down on live television. That was easily the best marriage proposal I've seen since Ian Johnson with Boise State back in 2007.
I'll tell you what, when it comes to the actual game, after Darvish went out, all the other Dodger pitchers took care of business.
Yeah.
It stayed at 5, but at the end of the day, it was at 5.
And speaking,
and at the end of the day, the Dodgers could not get runs in. That was the main problem for them, more than anything. And I credit that to the Houston defense. I mean, they were making some sweet plays. Bregman, to me, I know Springer's MVP. Springer totally deserves it. George Springer.
And I called for that one, yeah.
5 home runs in the World Series, just a monster. But to me, the unsung hero for the Astros has got to be Alex Bregman. He brought in that run in Game 5. Huge game, obviously, but he defensively he was everywhere. He was a vacuum in third base. Just so good. Anytime the ball went there, I'd be surprised if it got past him. You know, he was incredible for them, and the city of Houston as a whole deserves that. You know, they deserve this. They've been through so much this year. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, literally not even 24 hours, Deshaun Watson goes out for the season. I mean, buy a break, you know, like, so they really deserve that. I saw afterwards that before the World Series started, someone tweeted out, "Would you give up Deshaun for a World Series win?" And someone commented, "In a heartbeat." Well, that's exactly what happened. You got the Worlds and then you lost Deshaun, but that's just bad luck there.
That is really bad luck. And we'll dive more into that in the third segment. But you mentioned the bullpen after the pitching in Game 7. One of those guys was Clayton Kershaw, and he pitched 4 scoreless innings.
Yep.
Now, let's talk about just general Clayton Kershaw legacy. So Clayton Kershaw, in the postseason, in 12 series that he's played, he's 7-7. That's his record. His ERA is 4.35. Now, many people look at this and say his legacy was tarnished based on how he performed in Game 5. I disagree. I don't think his legacy is tarnished per se. It takes a hit, yes. But Clayton Kershaw, ladies and gentlemen, the amount of disrespect and vitriol that was aimed his way, just like, oh, you're making $200+ million, you need to pitch better. He's one of the best regular season pitchers I think we've ever seen in history, bar none. And to see him go out there in Game 7 and pitch the way that he did, he couldn't have done any more than he already did. He did the best that he could. His offense wasn't helping him, Eliav. It was nowhere to be found. So to see Clayton Kershaw go out there, it definitely made his postseason resume better based on that performance. But that Game 5, people are going to look at that Game 5 and they're going to give it to him for the rest of his career.
It's true. I mean, in Game 1, people are going to forget about Game 1 when he just
Yeah.
balled out.
I haven't heard anything about that. Like, why are people not mentioning that? 12 strikeouts in 7 innings.
He was, I think it was 11, but either way, he was really, really fantastic. Game 5, I mean, you're right. He's going to take a hit. He had plenty of run support. That was his game to lose, and he lost it, and that's gonna be a problem when you look back at this series. But when it comes down to it, he came in Game 7, and he really did well. As far as his legacy is concerned, people, if they would have won Game 7, then that matters.
Oh, yeah.
But no one cares now. No one's going to care that he did well pitching Game 7. They lost the game, so it doesn't matter anymore.
But it wasn't his fault.
Right. You can say that, but at the end of the day, people are not going to care. When it comes down to the general opinion, if they didn't get the win, then it doesn't matter. Now, to people who looked at the details and look at the facts, he did a good job himself, but at the end of the day, I promise you, he would agree that he'd rather get the win. No one cares about the individual stuff right there. And as far as his legacy, I mean, he's gonna have. I think I'll say it right now. I think the Dodgers are going back to the World Series. I think the Dodgers are going back.
Segues to our next topic.
And it's tough for me to go against Houston again. Like, I think that there's a high chance of the rematch. There's a high chance.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Both cores are very good. They're up and coming still too.
Yeah.
When you think about, I don't know, their rookie first baseman on the Dodgers side, and then of course on the Astros, just there's no one. I mean, I know Gurriel is a rookie and also 30, but still he's a rookie and he's gonna be here, and that both lineups should be pretty much very similar to what we saw this year.
And by the way, Gurriel's under contract till 2021. So and he made $12 million he's making $12 million next year, then 10, then 8. Real quick correction, yes, it was 11 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw in Game 1. Segueing to next season, what we think the Dodgers and the Astros are going to do next year. Look, I mean, there is a very good chance we could easily see a rematch. You just said it. Yeah. But I said the same thing last year when the Cubs won the World Series. I called for an Indians-Cubs rematch. And I think everybody's thinking that right now. And it's really hard to think about the Indians and all those other teams in baseball when we just saw one of the best World Series I think we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And so it's really hard at this point to say, okay, what other teams are going to make it to the World Series other than those two? I always have my eye on the Indians, and I think they're going to upgrade their bullpen and their pitching staff. I think they're going to upgrade over the offseason. That's just what the Indians do. They go out and they get a big name. The Cubs, I think they'll be back. The Dodgers now, I can honestly say I'm right there with you. I think the Dodgers are right now, as of today, I got the Dodgers going back to the World Series next year.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, there doesn't seem to be a reason why not.
Yeah.
There just doesn't seem to be a reason why not. And that's of course easy to say when you just saw them in the World Series. But let's say, I was thinking about this too. I know for the MLB, like the dream scenario would have been the Yankees moving on and New York versus LA. I get that. But the series would not have been as close to as good.
No.
Not as close to as good. I think the Dodgers would have just ransacked them. Maybe 5 games, 6 games.
Yeah.
But the Astros were the right team, was the right team to move on. And MLB and baseball really, really benefited from this World Series. Back-to-back World Series. They go to Game 7. It's exciting the whole way down. We got big cities. Well, not Cleveland, but mostly Chicago, Houston, LA.
Yeah.
Baseball has really, I think, on a national standpoint, really been brought to the viewpoints of a lot of people that didn't think that they might even like it.
Yeah. I really think that baseball has also done a very good job of ingratiating itself with its fans and really trying to change the way that the pace of the game is going with the installations of the clocks and the 2-minute bullpen clocks. I think Rob Manfred deserves most of the credit for that. And the way he's really tried to intertwine the fans with the game of baseball and really kind of relating to our generation, Eliav, the younger generation who really kind of have a hard time sitting still and watching a baseball game for 4 hours.
Now, because you got to appreciate the strategy. You got to appreciate
and the
analytics
details.
of it.
You mentioned the analytics. Yeah. It's become an analytics game. Not just those two franchises are analytics, Eliav. The Diamondbacks, the Rockies, every organization, the Tigers, the Red Sox, everybody's involved in analytics now. They're bringing in somebody involved with analytics, and I got to give credit to Rob Manfred for that. And the way that baseball has grown, I think is because of him.
Well, and record-breaking home runs, that'll help
helps.
too.
That helps. Yeah, that absolutely helps. So honestly, man, the World Series, I can honestly say last year was really good. Game 7 last year was great for me and one of the best games I've ever seen. But generally speaking about the World Series, that probably was the best World Series that I think I've ever seen.
Completely agree. I mean, I don't think there's... Man, it's going to be tough to top this. I don't know. Can it get better than this?
No. And Game 7, 5-1, okay. But Game 7 last year was better, but overall, better series this year.
Stop being a bonehead.
It's time for Weston's Bonehead of the Week. Okay. Now, we're going to go out to the Staples Center. And now, a lot of baseball boneheads have been this year. Now we're going to transition to the NBA, and we're going to go to the Pistons and the Clippers game. Now, a lot of you have probably seen this because it blew up on Bleacher Report. And now we're going to talk about Avery Bradley. And he plays for the Detroit Pistons. It is in the second quarter. There is 1:39 remaining on the clock. The Pistons are down by 5 points. So now they're in the defensive zone. Bradley picks the ball off. He has nothing but space ahead of him. He's got an easy 2 points to make it a 3-point game going into halftime. And now, most people think you make the layup, right? But then he goes, whoop, and misses it once, got it right in front of me, and again, and misses it twice. Completely misses the open layup, and then there's another guy right behind him. How does he not pick up the ball and put it in the hoop?
Well, for me, when I saw him on the fast break, well, okay, he's gonna yam this. He's gonna dunk it down. Well, he didn't try and do the fundamental layup. He tried to throw it down, and Avery Bradley's not that big.
No, he was
but he can dunk. He can dunk. We've seen him have some really nice dunks in the past, but right there he just met a whole lot of rim.
Yeah,
and it was just all bad.
Yeah, and we've seen this a lot with a lot of NBA players. Like they're contemplating, should I dunk? Should I lay up? Now this is a very common thing, Eliav, and you know it good and well. But when I saw this, you gotta laugh hard. Avery Bradley is this week's Bonehead of the Week. The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Coming up next, we have a very, very special guest for you guys. Chris Cadeau is the Assistant Sports Director of Blaze Radio. He's also the host of Veteran Diaries every Thursday here on Blaze Radio. And at the ASU Football game, it was Salute to Service and former member of the U.S. Marines. He's going to call into the show next. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com.
Put your pinky rings up to the moon. Girls, what y'all trying to do? 24 karat magic in the air.
Bruno Mars was here last night, ladies and gentlemen, at the Talking Stick Resort Arena, and I wasn't there.
I'm sure he shut it down.
Oh, per usual. Welcome back to the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Thank you for starting your Monday off on a high note here with us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, we have our very special guest on the line with us right now. Mentioned it last segment, the Assistant Sports Director of Blaze Sports, and he's also the host of Veteran Diaries every Thursday here on Blaze Radio. I'm talking about the one and only Chris Cadeau. He's kind enough to take time out of his day to come talk with us. Chris, how you doing today, man? You doing good?
What's up, fam? Everything is going spectacular. Just doing a little adulting, taking the little one to the doctors, but she's doing good, so we're all good.
Oh,
okay, good.
Give her my best. So let's talk about this. So it was Salute to Service at the ASU football game on Saturday. Also, November 1st through the 12th is Salute to Service week. So just enlighten our audience. How has ASU made you feel welcome as a veteran?
Guys, when you're a veteran, there's a lot of things going on as far as outside noises that everybody either gravitate to or you don't, because quite frankly, it can get oversaturating at times where everybody, we're in a time where, we need to honor our veterans, and we need to do this, and we need to do that. So sometimes things can come off as not being as genuine as they really try or they really should be. But at ASU, for me, at least in my experience, when I got here, I had transferred to ASU, so I'm at the community college. The Pat Tillman Veteran Center actually let me work for them as a work study while I was going to a different school at the community college, and that was my first experience with Salute to Service. I came in and I'm seeing all these events that are going on that are truly centered around ensuring that every part of the veteran demographic is being honored, and not just, you know, the people who are in uniform that you see on field, but the actual intricate stories of these students and these people that are teaching at ASU, that are family members of people at ASU, and just really concentrating on making sure that their story and what they're doing is honored. And it's phenomenal to be a part of something like that.
So you mentioned, you know, Pat Tillman Center, you were working there, they reached out to you. And so what is, obviously being a veteran yourself, what does being a part of that salute to service mean to you?
Honestly, being a part of the Pat Tillman Veteran Center and being a part of salute to service gives me an opportunity to continue my service. When a lot, not everybody, but a lot of us service members, they say dedicated to selfless sacrifice and all these other type of things, but it really becomes a part of who you are. So when you move on from this service, a lot of us are looking for that connection, that one thing that allows us to really feel full in our hearts again. And ASU and salute to service, it's not just about a week here at ASU. It's about the entire spectrum of what we do day in and day out inside the classroom and outside, that allows us not to turn our degrees into pieces of paper. And it really means everything that I have an opportunity to be a part of something like that.
Chris Cadeau right here on the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Chris, last question for you before we segue to some ASU athletics, in particular ASU football, triathlon. But just enlighten our audience once again, why are you so passionate about telling others about your veteran experience here at ASU?
Guys, I mean, you guys know who I am because I'm transparent with you guys inside and outside of the classroom. I've taken a lot of time inside of my degree path to make sure that people know who I am and what I've been through. And the truth is that it was hard. Like for me to put into words exactly all the things that had happened in my experience, and sum it up for you in a way that actually means something, I have to be able to be positive about my experiences. I battled substance abuse. I had a lot of things that could have really derailed this process for me. But the truth is that the people around that have been around me, and even here at ASU, have empowered me to be successful. And I think that's the best part about what's going on here at ASU. And it's not even just at the Pat Tillman Veteran Center. It's at the Cronkite School. It's at Mary Lou Fulton. It's at all these different schoolhouses that us as individuals, no matter our age, can come in. We can have a goal, and all the assets that we need to be successful will be put out there for us. Now, it's up to us to go out and grab it, but at least we have an opportunity to touch it. And one of the biggest parts about my experience, and especially interacting with you guys and the people in the Cronkite School, is that I can definitely tell you that we don't chase our dreams here.
Yeah,
we attain our dreams. Attain our dreams.
Oh, gotta love that. Well,
amen, brother.
ASU got it done on salute to service night against Colorado, which is just, if you're going to get a victory, you better get it on a night like that.
Yeah.
And they got it done against the Buffs, 41-30. Chris, Demario Richard put on a show.
189 yards.
What did you see out of that game that really just, you saw ASU turn it up at one point and they didn't slow down?
All right, let's just name drop real quick. So I happened to be in the south end zone right before the game started. And Demario and I, as we've gone through this season with Blaze Radio and the director's cut that we've done after the game, all of us, we've developed a relationship with Demario to where we can pretty much give him a head nod and he'll come say what up, and he'll talk with us. And I saw him in the south end zone before the game, right after they had done their group prayer, and I was with a couple other veterans, and I gave him that head nod. He came over. He said, "What up?" to me. He said, "Thank you for my service," and I told him to go kill it, and he did. So what I saw on it.
So what you're saying, it was because of you.
So we're giving credit to Chris Cadeau, ladies and gentlemen.
No, definitely not credit to me. Credit to that. He had that fire in his eye way before I got a chance to say what up out of that name drop. But what I saw out of this team was something that we've been waiting to see all year long, and that is that identity piece starting to be able to come to the front. Because when you look at what Todd Graham has done in his tenure here, if you say a Todd Graham offense, what have you been able to put your finger on as a staple? After this past weekend, you can say power running the football can be one of those identities. And what I saw was a team that really picked themselves up off the mat. And honestly, if you really want to go back, I blame Notre Dame for our loss to USC. Because if you really think about it, if USC did not get smacked up like they did by Notre Dame, they probably would not have came out and played the type of football that we saw them play against the Sun Devils.
Right.
And if that didn't happen, we talk about this, and the other, then maybe we're talking about a different story. But I saw identity last week, something that you can build on. And listen, crazier things have happened. And I hate to be a homer with this, but if ASU is able to win out, they still have a chance at the South.
It's true. It's
Absolutely.
true. Unfortunately, their kind of fate is out of their hands with U of A really doing that well.
But also, let's look at their next 3 games. They take on UCLA next week at the Rose Bowl.
They should win.
They should win that game. They should win at Oregon State and Corvallis, and then the Territorial Cup here at Sun Devil Stadium. Now that's up for grabs, ladies and gentlemen. But at the same time, I think Arizona State, that's a game they can win. How do you think they'll finish the rest of the season, Chris?
They need to execute. When it comes to good football teams, they show consistency in their execution. When this is a team that we know that has discipline. It didn't show up in USC for the first time in years.
Yeah.
But a team that has discipline, awesome, check mark. You need that to be a winning football team.
Right.
Now, when you look at consistency on defense, we saw something that I don't think anybody ever imagined, even in a great season, that you see against UW and then against Oregon, the teams that a defense that was flocking to the football. They had all their assignments. And then this past week, you're starting to see consistency on offense. Now, the true test of a growth of a football team is when you get into this latter stages of the season. Number one, you don't drop to UCLA, but you play a consistent game in all facets of the game.
Right.
ASU does something like that. We have something really to look forward to in the future.
Yeah, I agree. Now, when it comes, I'm going back to the salute to service night. When you think about the spirit of Pat, I mean, it really showed through the football team, in my opinion, when you see that 3 times they were down by 10. 3 times they had to come back from 10-point deficits and ended up winning by 11, dominating in the fourth quarter 24-3. Did you feel the same way, Chris? Did you see that?
The more I get into learning about Pat Tillman, the more when things happen, I can relate it to other things, especially with the football team. And absolutely, Eliav, when you have something to that magnitude going on, to where now you can run out onto the football field and you can touch Pat as you go by, and you can literally feel it in the stadium when his name or his presence or there are things that are going on is a part of the atmosphere. When you look at what hit, and I keep bouncing back on this. The fact is that if you really spend some time to get to know who Pat Tillman was, what you'll find is that he is the most genuine, honest person you've ever met. And the thing about being honest is you may not always like exactly what someone's saying,
True.
but it's completely honest.
Amen.
So when you look at what Pat means to this football team in that game, I can pretty much tell you with an explicit, he was probably saying just get it done.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking to Chris Cadeau right here on the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay, Blaze Radio, and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. Chris, there's a national champion at Arizona State, and it just so happens to be the triathlon team. They won their second straight national title. Eliav, I mean, talk about a heck of a team effort just coming together and getting it done for the Sun Devils.
Man, their first 2 years of existence.
Unbelievable.
And they're getting natties out here, Chris.
Guys, the fact that those three ladies were able to do what they did, and what baffled me is, number one, it's a triathlon. I don't even want to go run a marathon, so I don't understand why. I don't understand why people want to do things like that. But it is literally one of the ultimate tests of a human is the triathlon. But then let me throw another context into what ASU did. Those were two freshmen and a sophomore. There were 81 competitors. 81, and two freshmen and a sophomore underclassmen from ASU bring it home.
And those
all
three,
top three.
Those three, Henry, Aarons, and Roy. I mean, shout out to those three girls. I mean, just talk about getting it done. Good stuff right there, man. Absolutely fantastic. And now, last question, last thing for you here, Chris, and thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. Shannon Evans, he dropped 50 on ACU the other night in a 115-69 victory. Now, albeit, Chris and Eliav, it was an exhibition.
Right, I'm about to say, fine, it's exhibition, but 18 of 26.
Look, and 11 of 18 from three-point line. Are you kidding me, Chris? Are you kidding me?
Guys, I grew up in, and I'm dating myself a little bit. So I graduated high school in 2004. And my high school coach was friends with Tom Izzo. So we got an opportunity to go up to Michigan State and to be a part of a college basketball atmosphere that it's second to probably about 5 or 6 in the country.
Wow.
What I am yearning for is that type of atmosphere being brought to Arizona State University. There are some serious college basketball fans, and they want it.
Yeah.
And Bobby Hurley's the head coach, Chris. I mean, that's a guy from Duke. Everybody in the 80s, they can relate to Bobby Hurley. I mean, they loved that guy.
Well, with the recruits, you see, slowly Bobby's system being implemented, and we'll see if they can take that next step this season.
Yeah, and they take on Idaho State. It's their first game on Friday, and that game can be heard here on Blaze Radio, blazeradioonline.com. But last question, Chris, and then we got to wrap it up. What are your expectations for the Sun Devils ASU basketball this season?
All right, so when it comes to expectations, I completely throw out a lot of the hoopla that I see being wrote on the national level, and the reason why is because college basketball is one of the very few sports that, based on recruiting, team chemistry, and the way a team can grow throughout the season, allows you an opportunity to go after a national championship no matter where or what you're doing. It's been proven over and over again. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that being this guy that's going, ASU's going to the national championship. Chances are not going to happen.
No.
But when you look at what the opportunity and the growth from recruiting to this year to last year, this is a team that can compete in the pack. And if they are able to get on a roll, fan base get behind them, we could be bouncing in Wells Fargo Arena late into January.
All right, there you go.
Chris, I can speak for Eliav here as well, but Chris, thank you very much for your service. And upon everybody here at Blaze Radio and Arizona State University, thank you for your service. It is an honor, sir, to call you a brother. Thank you for taking time to talk with us.
Agreed.
We will talk to you again down the line, okay?
Hey, Weston, one more thing. I just say, more than anything, I want anybody that's listening to know that the ASU veteran community here wants everyone to be and feel a part of what we're doing. That if there is something going on with student organizations and other things that you think are important, or you just want to get to know our demographic better, on every campus is the Pat Tillman Veteran Center. Feel free to come in. Whatever we can do to help, we are there. And much love to the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay.
My guy, Chris.
Powerful. Thank you, Chris.
All right, y'all. Have a good night.
Thank you. The one and only Chris Cadeau, right here with Weston DeWitt and Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. Come on back with us. We're going to take your calls at 602-496-5156. Plus, we'll get into some NFL. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com.
Welcome to my house, baby, take control now. We can't even slow down. We don't have to go a while. Welcome to my
Our thanks again to Chris Cadeau, host of Veteran Diaries every Thursday here on Blaze Radio. What a very powerful segment, ladies and gentlemen. If you ever run into that guy, say hello to him. He is just a straight up treasure, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here in Blaze Radio and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. Okay, we got a segue. Let's segue to the NFL. Now,
What a great segue right there. Just right out there with the segue. Like, we're going to segue, and here it comes. Let's talk about the NFL.
the Arizona Cardinals won yesterday, 20-10, albeit in San Francisco. And no, Jimmy Garoppolo did not start for San Francisco.
Which I don't know why.
I gotta get look. I like Kyle Shanahan. I like John Lynch. I like what the 49ers are trying to do. No, they're not going to win a lot of games. Do they stink? Yes. However, this decision not to start Garoppolo, get him in there right away.
Yeah,
you need to get him in there so we can get comfortable with the offensive system.
You're 0-8 and now at the time, and now 0-9. You could afford for him to just have a learning curve. It's not a big deal.
Exactly. And you were 0-8 going into this game. You're not going to make the playoffs. You're not even going to get to third place in the NFC West, for goodness sake. I mean, terrible decision making by Kyle Shanahan or whoever made that decision. Terrible. Now let's focus to the Cardinals. Drew Stanton, 15 of 30 passing, 201 yards with 2 touchdowns. Yes, he threw a pick, but the storyline's Adrian Peterson, 39 touches for 159 yards. Now that's the Adrian Peterson that was looking like when he played in Tampa Bay.
Or that first game. Yeah.
That was Larry Fitzgerald. Look, 9 targets for 5 catches for 70 yards and moved into 6th place on the NFL's all-time receiving list yesterday.
There you go. You got to love that.
Yeah, salute to Larry Fitzgerald. What an unbelievable human being he is. A great ambassador for the state of Arizona and just for sports in general. But real quick about the Cardinals. They are 4-4 now. They will take on the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. About 10 miles from here out at the University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale. More like 15 miles, but that's neither here nor there. I look at this game. This is a big game for the Cardinals because they're 1 game behind the Seahawks in the NFC West, but it's a 3-way tie. If the Packers lose tonight, it's a 3-way tie for the spot to get into the last wild card in the NFC. So the Cardinals are right there. They're 1 game out of a wild card spot. Now, do I think they're going to make the playoffs? No. But at the same time, if you can beat Seattle in your home stadium against that Seattle team on Thursday night, that's going to give the fan base a lot of positivity moving forward.
No, that'd be huge, obviously. I mean, I don't think they'll do it. I don't think there will be Seattle. But when Seattle is thought of as one of the best teams in the league in general, and you go ahead and you'll take care of them, that'll be really important for your morale as a team more than anything. Yeah, the fans will love it, sure, but I'm saying specifically for your own team, that'll be really important for that confidence you need in someone like Drew Stanton, who, if he delivers, which he delivered against the 49ers, it's a good little warm-up game, basically, to the Seahawks. Now, you mentioned that if the Cardinals can catch the Seahawks for 2nd place, well, let's talk about who's in 1st place for the NFC West. Now, the Rams are dealing.
Yeah.
Wow. The Giants just got smacked.
Hard.
51-17. Jared Goff and the Rams are really starting to be legit.
Have yourself a game, Jared Goff. 14 of 22 passing for 311 yards. And ladies and gentlemen, he threw for 4 touchdowns. And Todd Gurley, 2 touchdowns. This Rams club is firing on all cylinders right now. This is a fun team to watch, Eliav, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, you go along with the youth. You go along with Sean McVay. He's letting these guys breathe. He's letting these guys play their games.
Something that Jeff Fisher did not do.
And do what they do. Exactly. Todd Gurley looks like he's enjoying himself. You know, it last year was a struggle. You know, it's just... And And then on the defensive end, I mean, he just gave it to Wade Davis. Like, you know what? Do what you need to do. That's all yours. And they have been doing their job. They're 6-2 now. I mean, who knows where this season can go for them?
Look, the defense, Barron, 8 tackles. Ogletree, 8 tackles. Your boy Aaron Donald, the best defensive player in the game as far as I'm concerned, only 3 tackles. And that speaks volumes. Donald doesn't need to go out there and make 10 tackles. He has the help
He used to
around
have
him.
to. He used to have to.
That's when Jeff Fisher was the coach. But now they have a good coaching staff around them. Sean McVay, kudos and love to him. Now the Giants, they are a mess.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, this was a combination of the Rams just doing very well and the Giants being the Giants and doing what they've done all year. And these are actually, you know what? This is interesting, this matchup, because these are two teams where they were thought to be on the opposite sides of where they're at right now.
The Giants are 1-7, Eliav.
Yeah,
1-7.
The Giants, I mean, I know we all picked them to be much, much better preseason. There was no question about that. Of course, injuries have killed them, but even before that, they were just nothing special at all. And the Rams, none of us picked them to make the postseason. It looks like if they keep streaking this way that they can get it done. So it's actually interesting with this matchup. You see how different these two teams, these seasons have gone for them when before the season, no one expected either of them to have the kind of seasons they are.
The Dallas Cowboys, 28-17 over the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday. And Tony Romo was the broadcaster for CBS, ladies and gentlemen.
They gave him a little tribute video. It was very cute.
And a very large banner in the touchdown end zone. Whatever. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the game. The Cowboys won 28-17, and Dak Prescott, 249 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott, 93 yards with a touchdown. Terrence Williams, 9 targets, 9 catches, 141 yards. Harley, you're out our very big Dallas Cowboy fan, a.k.a. the social media king of the Weston DeWitt show at the Eliav Gabay. What'd you think of the performance yesterday?
Last week I talked about how there wasn't a number 1 receiver, and then boom, Terrence Williams comes in and has nearly 150 yards. It was really good to see, and Zeke kept the ball rolling, almost 100 yards rushing. So it was a big performance for a Cowboys team that some had doubted. You know, a couple weeks ago against San Francisco, it was if you don't win this game, you're waiting till next season kind of mentality. And now all of a sudden you're beating the Chiefs 5-3. Things are looking good.
Yeah, the Chiefs. That's a big statement game. That's where I will agree with you. Like they definitely It makes, like I said, kind of with the Cardinals, if they beat Seattle next week, this is the kind of win where it was like, hey, we're still legit. We're good. Like, let's keep this rolling. And of course, with Zeke, if you don't know if he's going to play and think he's going to play, I don't know. You just never know anymore. So you might as well just assume he's playing and move forward with it. And that's where I think they're at this point. Like at the beginning, I think it was a distraction. And now it's kind of just part of it. And they're kind of over it, you know. And now you're seeing it where it's working out.
The Chiefs lost 3 of their last 4. They started out the season 4-0, guys. They started out 4-0. And we were talking about Kareem Hunt being Rookie of the Year, going bananas on everybody. But the Chiefs, man, Alex Smith, he didn't play terrible yesterday. 263 yards passing with 2 touchdowns. And Kareem Hunt, only 37 yards. That's a red flag. And Kareem Hunt's got to rush for more than that. But let's look at the Cowboys' schedule for the rest of the season. Now, they're 5-3. They're sitting second in the NFC East behind the Philadelphia Eagles, who are looking pretty damn good.
Oh, my God.
And
damn near perfect.
And 3 straight wins for the Cowboys. They take on Atlanta next week in Atlanta. That's going to be another big game. Then the big one, at home against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football. That's the make or break game right there. Mm-hmm. I cannot wait for that game in 2 weeks. No, it's going to be a good one. I mean, ooh, man. Anytime the Philly is matching up with any team at this point, I'm really interested to see what goes down, because Philly has been so good, but at the same time, there's always that question mark of are they gonna, like, every week? It's almost brand new every week. Like, are they legit? Are they legit? Can Wentz keep it up? Can Wentz keep it up? So now there's gonna keep. Now they're that team that people are circling on their calendar, which is different from the past. And so Harley, as a Cowboy fan, and the Eagles are just looking so good. We just mentioned it. How do you feel about the Eagles being in front of the Cowboys? Are you scared of that, or how are you feeling about the Eagles?
Yeah, well, I think when you look at Dallas now, I think, they're sitting at 5-3, so it's almost crazy to say this, but I think winning the division is out of the question for them at this point. I very well think that Dallas could wind up as a wild card team, one of the 2 wild card teams. But Philly, I mean, man, it's been a while since Philly has been the real threat. I really thought this year it would be New York.
We all did.
And obviously I was wrong, very wrong.
We all were.
But no, I think Wentz is on another level right now. I mean, he's an MVP candidate.
Absolutely. He might be leading the MVP candidacy.
Yeah.
So...
And by the way, we use this segment of the show when we bring Harley on to talk about the Cowboys and we troll Skip Bayless a little bit. And you mentioned they're not going to win the division. He goes out there and says they're going to win the division. There's the troll.
And today he said they were going to win the NFC period. So there's that.
Well, he's been saying that for years. So
true.
Oh my God. I mean, it's just laughable. It really is. I'm not even going to get I'm not taking it seriously. No. This doesn't deserve real a reaction.
Anybody who takes that seriously needs to be ashamed of themselves. Seriously. 602-496-5156 is always the number to call up. Again, that's 602-496-5156. Deshaun Watson. We talked about it. Listen, I was up in class when I got the news. I got the tweet from you, Eliav, and torn ACL in practice. He is done for the season.
That's just saddening, man.
Dude, it ruined my day.
From every perspective, you like Texans, you don't, whatever it is. You got to be sad for this kid. He's a wholesome dude. He worked so hard. He's been through so much. Everyone knows about his story, and everyone was really rooting for him to do well. And he was sprouting. I mean, he was doing so well. And it's just a shame. It's a shame when you think of a Texan organization that right now what they're going through in general is just a lot of turmoil right now, which is it's just obviously not great. But when it comes to him, you saw the entire league, athletes from different sports just going and tweeting at him. That's a big impact. That's a guy who, while he's young, he's already started building a legacy.
Yeah.
You already see it beginning to build.
Yes.
And it's a shame. It's a shame that had to happen in a season that, it's just, he looked great. He looked great. And
easily was going to win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, at that pace, no doubt. And that's another thing it's even more saddening. But when it comes to a guy like Deshaun Watson, he'll be back stronger. He'll be back stronger, and that's something that a lot of people can hang their hat on when it comes to this man.
8 to 9 months he's going to be out. And look, 1,600 yards passing, almost 1,699 yards to be exact for Deshaun Watson. 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I don't care about that. Deshaun Watson, you took the words right out of my mouth. A first-class human being. We saw what he did with his game check. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, think about this for a second. You're a young man coming into the NFL. You grew up the way Deshaun Watson did. And you take that check and you go give it to other people who work in the stadium. If that right there doesn't signify the resemblance of a great human being, I don't know what does. So that right there, I just was crushed for Deshaun Watson and for that fan base because they also lost J.J. Watt. And they don't have J.J. Watt. Now they got the Astros winning the World Series, which is a good substitute. But not having J.J. Watt or Deshaun Watson when the Texans were anticipated to win their division this year, now I didn't pick them, I picked the Titans, but albeit, when they were going to win the division, what a heart-breaking loss for the Houston Texans. Ohio State transitioning to college football.
Oh, man.
They were upset by Iowa, 55-24. All I got to say is that picture on Twitter that escalated where it was just covered in black shirts. I mean, talk about a fun night out there in Iowa. I'm sure it was a pretty crazy night out there, but let's talk about the game. 55-24, Iowa won. Now, Stanley, the quarterback for Iowa, he had 5 touchdowns, ladies and gentlemen, for a QBR of 82. Wadley, 118 yards rushing. This game more so is about Ohio State, obviously, because Iowa is not ranked. Ohio State now has 2 losses on their record for the year, sitting at 6 in the standings. Look, I always believe in an Urban Meyer coach team. That's something I just personally have always felt. Even when he was with Florida, we saw what he did with Tim Tebow and all that stuff that he did. But I'm also a believer in JT Barrett. But the problem was he threw 4 interceptions yesterday. And I'm going to be concerned that if Ohio State is going to go far into the playoffs, I'm going to be a little concerned about JT Barrett under that pressure. I don't know if he's going to throw 4 interceptions or not, but I'm going to bet my money on Urban Meyer because I believe in an Urban Meyer coach team.
And you have all the evidence games to show that you should believe. But at the end of the day, I do look at that Iowa defense. I want to credit them for doing the job they did while the Iowa offense was completely popping off and just manhandling the Buckeye defense. At the end of the day, you look at JT Barrett, 4 interceptions right there. Iowa took care of business. And these are the type of games that teams like Iowa lives for.
Yes.
You know, that they want that upset. They crave that upset. And you saw all the fans on the field there.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
That is what college football and college in general, that's an experience you got to have.
Mm-hmm. Oklahoma, 62-52. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard that right. Wow. 62-52. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, 2 bitter rivals.
Well, the offenses showed up.
Yeah, no kidding.
the offenses were out on the field. Whether the defense was there is still questionable.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know math, ladies and gentlemen, but 589 yards for Baker Mayfield. For Rudolph, for Oklahoma State, 448 yards. You can do the math yourself. But 5 touchdowns for Mayfield, 5 touchdowns for Rudolph.
2 interceptions apiece as well.
95 QBR for Baker Mayfield. He's the truth. And I told you that a few weeks ago. Now, do I think Oklahoma are national championship contenders? Yes, I do, because I think they're going to slide into that 4th seed. I think they're going to slide into that 4th spot, and we're going to reveal the standings in just a second. But you also got Clemson and Notre Dame as the other teams. But I look at Oklahoma, and you got Anderson in the backfield, who's a stud. Brown with 265 yards receiving yesterday and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Andrews is a weapon, and those are good weapons to have if you're Oklahoma. Their defense is legit. I believe in Oklahoma wholeheartedly, man.
When it comes to these 2 matchups, you see kind of the opposite different styles of attacks. With Oklahoma State, you saw a lot more rushing. Obviously, Justice Hill, 30 carries, 228 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. He had himself a night. And then, like you said already, Marquise Brown, 9 receptions for 265 and 2 touchdowns himself. Whew, come on. So you saw the different styles of attack, and they both were successful ultimately, but one was a little bit more successful than the other.
Yes.
You know, and I love to see the rivals go at it like this.
And I did the math, ladies and gentlemen. I said I don't know math, but I just did it on my
ding.
computer. 1,046 yards combined between both teams. Now, I've never seen anything like that before. Now, Oklahoma, man, look, Oklahoma, those 2 receivers are studs. Brown and Andrews, I'm a believer in those boys. And Baker Mayfield, man, oh man. And a lot of controversy thrown his way, the way he acted and visited, like in Ohio State, he took the flag and stuck it down in the field. Look, Baker Mayfield's the truth. And if you don't believe that, then you need to watch him again. He's the truth. I'm a huge fan of Baker Mayfield.
And now on the line, we have Braden from Phoenix.
Braden in Phoenix, one of our favorite callers into the show. You're on the air with Weston DeWitt and Eliav Gabay. What's up, Braden?
First off, thanks for calling me a favorite. Second off, you're right about Baker Mayfield. He's the truth.
Yes.
Absolutely correct.
Yes.
Absolutely correct.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to keep it on schedule here. We're going to talk some college football. But I want to hear your guys' opinions on Arizona State. You know, they're sitting at 5-4 right now. 2 of the, in my opinion, weakest teams in the Pac-12 coming up, and they are road games. I get that. Do you think they go 2-0 in these next 2 games?
Braden, I do. I really do. I think that these are games that these are the games to lose for them. If they don't get this done, there's a big problem.
Yeah.
This is a UCLA team that is as hobbled as can be and just looking atrocious on defense, and they can't stop the run. ASU loves to run, so go ahead, get yourself a dub there. Oregon State is known as pretty much the worst team in the Pac-12, and there's not really too much competition. So again, ASU needs to get these 2 wins if, in my opinion, they want a shot at the Territorial Cup, because as we know with this team, momentum is pretty much everything. So if they can get that 3 wins in a row by the time they see the Wildcats, who are no joke at all, ladies and gentlemen, that right now, I'll put it out there, I have U of A winning the Territorial Cup for now until I see really ASU get the groove going. But to answer your question, Braden, I do have them going 2-0, but I also am saying they better go 2-0 if they want a chance against U of A.
No, they're going to go 2-0, Braden. There's no question in my mind. But the biggest game, Eliav mentioned it, is the U of A game. And I'm really I'm fascinated with this new three-headed monster that is Kalen Ballage, Demario Richard, and Eno Benjamin, ladies and gentlemen. There was a sighting of him. He went full beast mode in one of those touchdowns.
But is Ballage even a part of that three-headed monster anymore? He hasn't really been.
He only had 9 carries and 42 yards. But the biggest thing is, Braden, is that last game with U of A. I just said it. Are they going to be able to stop Khalil Tate? Is that defense going to step up? In my opinion, I don't think so. I got the U of A winning that game and going 2-1 the rest of the season. What do you think?
I think 2-1 is a realistic expectation, and I agree with you that there's no excuse. As my roommate Joe McClatchy would call Oregon State, they are dumpster fire U. And then, UCLA is extremely hobbled, as you mentioned, Eliav. I think 2-1 should be expected. Obviously, if you're an ASU fan, you want to beat U of A. You always do. I think looking at U of A this weekend and then the next 2 games, that's going to be key for them. How does Khalil Tate respond after, quite frankly, being beat up by USC? They were definitely humbled last week.
Yeah.
Back down in their place, if you will. I think how U of A responds after their loss will tell you a lot about how they are. I think, as always, the Territorial Cup's always a close game. It's always unpredictable. So I will always hold off on predicting that until the week of. But no doubt, I think you're looking at 7 wins at least for this ASU team, and that is a good year in my opinion.
That is a success, Braden. No question.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you, Braden. And you can catch.
I knew you were going to plug this.
I got to plug it. You can catch Braden and I on the broadcast, BlazeRadioOnline.com, 7:30 this Saturday from the Rose Bowl, baby.
You guys are
that
so
sounds
lucky.
Good.
You're so lucky, both of you.
Called the Rose Bowl. Yeah, the Rose Bowl. I've heard of it before, the Rose Bowl.
Both of you guys get on my nerves. Braden, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Braden. Oh, you guys are so lucky. You get to go call the Rose Bowl. I'm so jealous. College football, let's stick with that theme real quick. Penn State, they were upset by Michigan State real quick. And look, Penn State, I'm a little concerned about them, but
this pretty much locks in. I don't think they're going to be in the college football playoff.
They're not going to be in the playoff, but I think Michigan State, you got to go in there. You got to beat Michigan State. You can't lose to them. Come on, guys. You just can't do that.
The bigger question, I think, at this point is now Saquon Barkley. As far as the Heisman's concerned, it's not like 14 carries, 63 yards, pedestrian. We'll see what happens moving forward. He's still the Heisman in my eyes, but we'll see what happens. This obviously didn't help him, so it'll be interesting.
The college football playoff released their first top 4 teams for the college football playoff. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Georgia. Number 3, Notre Dame. And number 4, Clemson. Now, even with Syracuse, that loss to Syracuse by Clemson, good to see Clemson up in there. I love me some Clemson. I love me some Dabble Sweetie.
Oh,
and I
no
think
doubt.
that they're going to make it. If there's one of these teams that I don't think is going to make it, it's Notre Dame. And I think Oklahoma might slide into that number 4 spot.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Overall, I do agree though with this 4 right here, and to me, it's I think it seems like this might be the 4 for the rest of the way. But again, there's some time left. There's a lot of switching that'll probably happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if these are the 4 that still end up there.
And I'm not surprised that Alabama and Georgia are 1 and 2. I mean, Alabama, roll Tide. I'm always a believer in Alabama, and to see them go up against Georgia in a national championship, maybe you got something special right there.
Eliav may be tough at times. What are you doing? Stop wasting time. But he does have a soft side too. Come on! Get ready for Eliav's soft spot of the week. Hello, ladies and gents.
Eliav Gabay, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi. Hi. This goes from just like sexy to what was that? Anyway, all right. Soft spot of the week. Sep Shiree, man.
Okay.
This was amazing. I loved seeing this. So Sep Shiree, he's a senior at at Alti High School in Virginia. He has cerebral palsy, and so it was senior night. It was senior night at Alti, and they wanted to give him a couple snaps. Of course, they kind of wanted to see, just give him a couple snaps, see how far he can go. Just give him an opportunity, right? One of his teammates asked the defenders, like, how about you guys just kind of let him see how far he can actually get? And you know what? It was amazing. The first snap, he goes, he falls. It's tough. Second one, He goes and he just keeps going. You see both teams, everyone cheering him on, the announcer in the background calling it out, and he goes 80 yards for a touchdown. You gotta love that. You gotta love that moment. I mean, it doesn't get more soft spot than that. That was just such a sweet moment as far as you see the humanitarian, you see the good sportsmanship, and you see a kid really doing what he loves, and that's playing football.
And he deserves it.
Yeah, and getting it done. So I just good on him, good on both teams, and that is my soft spot of the weekend. That's one of my favorite ones to date.
Aren't sports beautiful, ladies and gentlemen? That right there in a nutshell.
Yep.
Heavy show today, ladies and gentlemen. Good
Heavy
stuff.
show, but great show. I loved it. It's
amazing.
It's good so far.
The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Coming up next, we got a bunch of NBA news and notes to hit into, and then we're going to recap UFC 217. Someone in here was excited about it, and someone did get 3 picks wrong, but that's another subject for another day. The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Thank you so much for starting your Monday off on a high note here with us. Tremendous first 3 segment, guys. Let's keep it going. Let's do some NBA action. So the Phoenix Suns, they are 3-1 under the helm of Jay Triano. Now, a lot of people did not see this coming.
Coach of the year.
Whatever. They lost to the San Antonio Spurs last night, 112-95, as we all expected. Now, maybe many fans expected the Suns to win against the New York Knicks, but they lost 120-107. And speaking of the Suns, there is some news about Eric Bledsoe. He got fined $50,000 for his "I don't want to be here" tweet, but he's also going to keep training at the facility for the Phoenix Suns, and they're still looking to move him.
Because, like we said last week, his stock just keeps getting worse and worse because everyone knows that they don't want him and he doesn't want them, and it's just not going to work. But now it's kind of awkward because he's still going to train at the facility with the trainers, getting in game shape, getting in game mode, but not playing for the team. So this is just one of the weirdest scenarios I've seen.
No, absolutely. And imagine how awkward that's going to be when he shows up to the gym and he's got and everybody knows what's happened. Anybody who's lived under a rock doesn't know what happened. You go there and you see him training and you say, "I don't want to be here." How do you talk to this guy? What do you say to him? You just leave him alone and let him train? What do you do?
Well, I think as far as teammates, nothing changes. As far as, they don't care. I mean, they care, of course, but I'm saying as far as the problems that he has with the front office or the coaching, I'm sure that they're still buddies. I don't know, of course, but I feel like that doesn't change. But as far as everyone knowing that he kind of wants to leave, it is a little bit, awkward to say.
Yeah.
Well, as far as my fantasy team goes, Eric, get a team. You're on my fantasy team, and now you're just out, but you're not really out, and it's frustrating. And I need a point guard, Eric. Come on.
I love an Eliav's fantasy team sports rant, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I'm just saying. I need a point guard, and I'm not going to drop you. All right. So why don't you just suit up?
I'm 2-1. Much to everyone's surprise, I'm actually 2-1, so I'm actually satisfied.
Yeah, I am too. It's funny.
But with speaking of the Suns, just in general, let's talk real quick about Devin Booker. He has 22 points per game this year. That leads the team. TJ Warren is having a really good start to the year with 16 points per game. Now they take on the Brooklyn Nets downtown at Talking Stick Resort Arena tonight. I think that's a game they're going to win, but I really am just, more than anything, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to have a great season. I just care about seeing how the Suns play and respond to Jay Triano. That's all I care about right now.
Well, also, when it comes to the Eric Bledsoe situation, you want to get. It's okay, and that's going to be hard for some Phoenix Suns fans to accept, but it's okay to get a little bit worse players as of right now, but that are good players for the future. And that I'm kind of building off what you're saying with TJ Warren, Booker. Those are the higher performing players on the team. They're also the youngest players on the team, or one of the youngest players on the team. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for the younger guys to keep improving and continue and really have that be the direction of this team. So if you have an opportunity from the Bucks, if you have an opportunity from the Sixers, I don't know what, for a younger team, maybe draft picks in exchange for Bledsoe, obviously not just draft picks or just one or two players, but if you can package Tyson Chandler or something, do it.
Yes.
Do it.
You mentioned Tyson Chandler,
Move
yes.
forward for the future, and that should be the mentality of this organization.
Yes. LeBron James, ladies and gentlemen, had himself
He did
a game.
all right, yeah.
He's just an okay basketball player. 57 points against the Washington Wizards, second most of his career. But it was the most he's ever put up in a Cavaliers uniform. And he also had 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks.
11 assists, 7 rebounds, yeah.
Only 3 turnovers.
Wow. I mean, the performance that you saw there is right coming off of John Wall's comments when he said that he thought the Cavaliers didn't want to see them in the postseason, so they purposefully got the second seed. I don't know about that, John.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. While I do agree that the matchups aren't really great for Cavs when they see the Wizards usually, and we've seen that in the past,
yes,
that the Wizards match up really well with the Cavaliers, I think LeBron actually put an exclamation point on "We're not afraid of you."
Oh, no question.
And that's for sure.
No question.
And he was definitely having that in mind, especially since going into that game, Cavs were on a 4-game losing streak, and they were looking really bad. They're still not looking great. They didn't deliver against the Hawks yesterday, which is not a good team.
Yeah.
But the main thing I want to say, everyone, relax. It is only 10 games in. There's plenty of time. They still don't even have IT, which, of course, there's going to have to be some meshing when he does come on, which might not help. But at the same time, it's a long season, a very long season, and this happens. You're not going to figure it out yet. Dwayne Wade's going to figure out his role. They're going to get it going. They're going to find their groove, and it'll be fine. They're still a top 3 team in the East, okay? People are flipping out, and it's not that big of a deal yet.
Why are they flipping out? It's 10 games into the season. Yeah, I get it. 2-point loss to Atlanta. I get it. Should you have won that game? Yes. But this is the Cavaliers we're talking about. This is LeBron James we're talking about here. Dwayne Wade we're talking about here. And you mentioned a very, very important factor. There's no Isaiah Thomas right now. Mm-hmm. When he comes back, you need to watch out, Eastern Conference and NBA. You need to watch out. The Cavaliers are coming, and they are coming for you. The Boston Celtics.
They're finding their stride, man.
Now 8-2. Now, they dropped the first 2 games of the season, as we remember, to Cleveland, and they lost Gordon Hayward. And by the way, there was a video of him shooting from Bleacher Report in his wheelchair and shooting already, even, and he's in his wheelchair. That Gordon Hayward.
Gotta love it.
God bless you, Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
You're unbelievable. And they go and lose to Milwaukee the next game, but they have now won 8 straight games, really finding their mesh, Eliav. And this is Kyrie wanted his own team. He's got it. Gordon Hayward, no disrespect, he's gone now. It's all about Kyrie Irving. He wanted his team, and he's proving that right now. They're 8-2, and he's proving that.
More than anything, I think he's impressing people with how he's distributing the ball. Because, of course, we all know he can score. We all know one-on-one he's dang near unguardable. He's so good one-on-one, but he's getting his teammates involved. He's not just taking everything himself. He's finding guys open after he makes his moves. You know, the ball movement has just been crisp. Of course, Stevens doing a beautiful job. No surprise there. But a stat that I wanted to bring up is through 8 games, Kyrie Irving has passed Kevin Garnett, the big ticket, for most points in Celtics history through first 8 career games.
Wow.
So Kyrie coming in, and talk about some company to be next to. The big ticket, when he came along, they won the championship. I don't know if that's going to happen with this team, but it's a good start. Put it that way. It's a nice company to be with when you look at the facts here. So that's just fun.
Kyrie coming in hot, ladies and gentlemen. The Los Angeles Lakers came back last night against the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
And 107-102. Great comeback win by the Lakers. Really good to see these young guys for the Lakers coming up. Now 5-5. Record really doesn't matter at this point in the season. But
it's just you want to see progress. You want to see moving forward. Yeah.
And I just said I talked about the Suns. I just want to see progress under Jay Triano. I want to see Lonzo Ball progress with Ingram, with Kuzma, and with Lopez and Caldwell Pope in that starting lineup. I think that once the season starts, it obviously starts trending more Ball, and you're going to see more connection connection between teammates, which is natural in any given sport.
And when you see Larry Nance now out 4 to 6 weeks, who's going to step up? Well, Kuzma's starting.
And he dropped 13 points in 38 minutes.
He's got a double-double in both his starts. I mean, this guy just won't stop surprising. I didn't think he'd start, and I wasn't sure how well he would do, but hey, it looks like Kuzma's shaping up to be pretty legit as far as rookies are concerned. So it's pretty impressive. They tried to come back against Portland a few nights ago. They were down 18, came all the way back, but Damian Lillard, as clutch was KCP was
clutch
to make that three. Damian Lillard, it was Dame time, and he showed it. Brandon Ingram just gave him a little bit too much room, and he had enough space for that step back, that patented Dame step back, and he got the three down and got the game winner. So Damian Lillard has been also roasting to start this season. And
27 points a game.
Yeah, so he's demanding an all-star spot this season. He's not going to get snubbed this time.
Oh, he better get it, ladies and gentlemen. Well, he better get it.
I honestly don't think he will. When you think about all the great guards in the West, he probably will not. As good as he has been, he probably will not. He's going to have to continue to play this way if he wants to be an all-star. That's kind of crazy to say because of how good he's been. But when you think about the guards that are in the West, it's tough. It's really, really tough.
It is. That's a good point. But it's a very, very bold statement there, Eliav Gabay. The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. Come on back with us. We're going to talk about the Coyotes. They got a win last week against the Flyers, and they won against the Carolina Hurricanes. Whatever. We're going to talk about UFC 217. Big recap. Big UFC event. Good stuff. Come on back with us. You're listening to the Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. Don't go anywhere.
I'm waking up. I feel it in my bones. Enough to make my system blow. Welcome to the new age. To the new age. Welcome to the new age. To the new age.
The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay. Blaze Radio, 1330 a.m. streaming live on blazeradioonline.com. Thank you for starting your Monday off on a high note here with us. Our thanks again to Chris Cadeau. A tremendous conversation back in segment 2. Let's keep the trend going, Eliav. So, Shalane Flanagan. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those who do not know that name or know what we are talking about, she became the first American woman to win the New York City Marathon yesterday since, Eliav, 1977.
My gosh.
Unbelievable. She ran a 2 hours, 26 minutes, and 53 seconds. Do you have any idea what you have to do to your body to get ready for that stuff? I mean, Chris mentioned it, running a marathon. I mean, the last thing on this earth I want to do is run a marathon, but kudos and love to this girl. She killed it.
No. Amazing, historic. You know that this is, obviously going to go down in history. She won by over a minute. She blew out the competition. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you get a dominant W. Hats off to Flanagan. Talk about earned. No one deserved it more right there.
The Arizona Coyotes got in the victory board a week ago yesterday. It was against the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, they were up 3-1, Eliav, and they blew 2 goals. We saw it.
Oh, my God. We were watching it. We're just like, here we go again.
You saw how disgusted I was. And they gave up 2 goals in the final 2 minutes to send the game to overtime. But a perfect tic-tac-toe play on a 3-on-1 going into the zone, and Goligoski finishes it off to give them the win. And then on Saturday, they defeat the Carolina Hurricanes 2-1 in a shootout. Now the Coyotes, they stink, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to put it very bluntly. But, all that matters, very similar to what I said about the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Lakers, I need to see this team mesh under Rick Tocchet. I need the young kids to step up and listen to their coach. And like Dvorak, you need to get that puck high off the boards, not just simply little off the boards, fixing those little rookie mistakes that are very, very fixable. You correct those, you go out there. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. They're going to finish in last place, but I need to see progress from these kids if you're the Coyotes.
No doubt. Like you said, when you compare it to any franchise that's still rebuilding, they're still rebuilding. They're still trying trying to work out the kinks, work out all the little problems, grow, learn, just continue to grow and learn. And the only way to do that is by losing. They're going to lose. They're going to lose a lot, and that's fine. That's part of the process. There's nothing to freak out about if you're Coyote. You knew this going in. There's no surprises here. There are no surprises. There's no reason to be depressed. This is what it is. This is what it has been the past couple seasons, past few seasons. So, like you said, as long as you see the little things are the things you have to keep an eye on.
Like that shot off the boards.
Right. The details. That's what it is. But then when you see them come back in OT and then have a beautiful breakaway and just, like you said, I mean, it was a 1-2-3, dished it out, boom, goal. It was a perfectly handled breakaway. And that's something that you're like, okay, that's what we're talking about. You want to see that kind of progress.
Yeah.
And that's a positive.
Speaking of the Coyotes, the greatest Coyote ever, his name is Shane Doan. He was inducted to the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame Wednesday night, along with Dan Marley, Paula Bovin, who is a professor here at Cronkite School of Journalism.
Yes.
And
yes.
Anthony Robles.
What a lineup,
wrestler.
man. What a lineup.
That's incredible. And now, look, I had the very great, distinct pleasure of meeting Shane Doan 2 weeks ago when I was interning at 98.7 FM Arizona
He
Sports
was
Station.
bubbling, ladies and gentlemen. He was bubbling and blushing and pink to the forehead. And
I got to be 10-year-old Weston for 4 hours, ladies and gentlemen. I got to be a little kid again. It was unbelievable. So, listen, we all know how I feel about Shane Doan and the humility that he spoke to with me. Eliav, he talked with me for 5 minutes. He never spoke about himself. He was talking about his teammates. Whenever I said, how did you feel about it? He's like, oh, he just kind of brought up his own teammates on the other hand. Like, he is such a first-class human being. He's unbelievable. He's so unbelievable. If there's anybody that deserves it, it's him. And
no
just
doubt.
what he means to the game of hockey, to the Arizona Coyotes, and to the state of Arizona.
Yeah, when I think of a legend, an Arizonan legend, I think of Shane Doan first. I think of a guy who doesn't deserve it. There's no one that deserves it any more than him. There's no one that deserves it any more than him. And when you talk about, like you said, it's more than what he's in on the ice. It's the kind of person he was or he is and what he's done for this community. You know, as bad as this team has been for so long, he's stuck with them and has never wavered. And you see his commitment to Arizona and you see the hope that people have because of him. And like Weston was, you see the smiles he brings to people's faces. And that's what's important.
Yeah. UFC 217 took place on Saturday night, Eliav. Now, we were at the ASU football game, but we're going to talk about what happened. Okay, let's just dive into it. Rose Namajunas is the new strawweight champion, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Now, did we really think that was going to happen?
No.
What? I mean,
Young Jacek was going in there with a head full of steam. You saw it in the press conference and the weigh-ins. You saw it. She was, and Namajunas, she wasn't having any of it. She was quiet, composed, just taking it, and she took it to the house right there. Oh, my gosh.
Joe Rogan at the weigh-ins. Joe Rogan was she was interviewing the fighters, and Namajunas said during the stare down, like, young Jacek is right in her face. And then Rose Namajunas is like, I'm just saying the Lord's Prayer, Joe. And Joe's like, oh, okay.
Ding, ding.
So Rose Namajunas, 18 strikes to 5 for young Jacek. Young Jacek just got destroyed. Rose Namajunas deserves that belt. She went in there, kept her mouth shut for months, trained her behind off, and beat a legend in Joanna Young Jacek. 15 significant strikes, guys. Unbelievable punching power that Rose Namajunas displayed. The humility that this girl has is something that I'm very, very fond of. Now, I like Joanna Young Jacek a lot. But when I saw Rose Namajunas win that belt, see her getting emotional when that belt was strapped around her shoulder by Dana White, to see that, Rose Namajunas, you deserve all the love in the world. She is fantastic, and I'm very, very anxious to see who she fights next. I think she's going to take some time off, but whoever she fights next, it's going to be must-watch pay-per-view. Going to be unbelievable.
No doubt, no doubt. Let's move on to this next one because this is the one that everyone was looking for.
Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw. These two guys don't like each other. I said it last week. Now, TJ Dillashaw, he won.
My one right pick. Let's go.
I was wrong on all three. But Dillashaw wins by TKO. Now, a great first round. Now, Garbrandt landed a strong shot in the first round that knocked him down. And then as the first round ends, Garbrandt flips him the bird as he heads back to the corner. So I wasn't thinking Garbrandt was going to win this fight. But Dillashaw sticking to his game plan, not fighting emotionally. That's what he said in his post-fight press conference. He wasn't fighting emotionally. That's why he lost his fights. He was fighting technique-wise. He was beating Garbrandt with his punches, dodging his punches, getting leg kicks. Great job by TJ Dillashaw. I'm a huge fan of his.
No doubt. And when it comes to the main event, did you feel like Bisping might have been fighting emotionally?
No, I don't think so, because just generally Michael Bisping, the way he talks and the way he comes across, I don't think he's genuinely just trying to get under their skin. I don't think he was fighting emotionally. He said on numerous occasions, I respect Georges St. Pierre. I think he's a legend. He's a GOAT. He's not the GOAT, excuse me. He's a pioneer in this sport. And for 4 years off, I think he was looking at the 4 years off going, look, no one's the same after 4 years. You digress after 4 years, if anything.
That's what I said. That's why I picked Bisping.
Me too. That's why I picked Bisping.
I like Georges St. Pierre more.
Me too.
But I picked Bisping because, like I said last episode, when you have that much time off, it's tough to be right back in that championship mentality, championship mode right off the bat. As good a shape you'll be in. But hey, man, GSP gets it done.
He killed it, ladies and gentlemen. A submission win in the third round. Now, strikes were close, 68-49 for GSP. GSP was bloodied up badly by all the elbows that Bisping was throwing on his back. But what I want to focus on, congratulations to Georges St. Pierre. He is unbelievable. I love that guy.
Yeah, and a great UFC 217 altogether.
But, yeah, will he fight Robert Whittaker next? I would love that. Look, I love me some Robert Whittaker. Aside of Conor McGregor, Robert Whittaker is my guy. I love me some Robert Whittaker. To see St. Pierre and Whittaker fight, that's going to be something very, very special if it falls through. Now, Dana White did say that in the post-fight press conference, and he also said something else very, very interesting in the press conference. He was talking just about how people have been talking about how the UFC this year is going, whether it's pay-per-views, business-wise. He had a very strong response to critics and to the media everywhere. This was Dana White responding to people who think the pay-per-views are doing bad in the UFC. Take it away, Eliav.
It's not even one of these big nights. We're on track for the biggest year ever in the company's history. It's like you have people talking about the business side of this that know nothing about business. I mean, shut the up. It's annoying.
Wow. Strong remarks by Dana White, but I agree with him. Now, look, I'm one of those naysayers who started out the year saying that the UFC pay-per-views were bad. I mean, look at 208. It was awful with Holman Durandamy. But to see Dana White come out and just reassert us as fans that the UFC is going in a very strong direction, good on him. He is an unbelievable commissioner. Bruce Buffer said I bow mentally to Dana every time I see him. I do the same thing whenever I see him on television.
Well, he's generally good. I think he has made mistakes, and I think they were pretty clear. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I never bought into the fact that the UFC isn't doing well as a whole, because I think that Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight benefited rather than took away from the UFC, which a lot of people don't agree with, and it's surprising to me.
And I was on the record. I want to make it very, very clear before we get to Harley's Hot Topics and social media. I was not referring to the business side of things. I was referring strictly to the pay-per-view fights. 208 was not very good. 209 was not very good. I was speaking specifically about the fights. Now, as the business side and money, why are we even questioning that? It's worth $4.2 billion. People who question it need to be quiet.
Everything trending on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and more. Get ready for Harley's Hot Topics and social media. All right, we're going to kick it off with the Houston Astros. They had, obviously, a World Series victory. They had a lot of celebration. Lance McCullers posted a tweet that said, "Good morning to you," and it is a Snapchat of the trophy. And the caption of the Snapchat is "When Bay stays the night" with the heart eye emojis.
Great tweet.
So that was pretty cool. And then I don't know if you guys saw this video. It was one of the coolest videos I think I've ever seen. A bunch of people were at the Houston Astros parade, and they were in a parking garage, and this lady had dropped her hat.
I didn't see this. No, I didn't see this.
My God.
So there are rows of people, 5 rows. Think of a parking garage.
Okay.
Like she drops her hat, and people are
Levels.
tossing it up,
Wow.
person to person, and they drop it, and then they go back, and eventually she gets her hat back.
Everyone's like, yeah, like
That's
every
fantastic.
level it goes up. and
Really
it's like,
cool.
I need to go see that.
Yeah, and people were like ecstatic. It was just really cool to see. We have Richard Sherman. You guys talked about Kuzma a little bit. He said, "Get me a jersey at Lakers. He is hooping tonight." So just kind of cool to see him doing
known
his
Lakers
thing.
fan, yeah.
Yep. Isaiah Thomas, always on Twitter.
Yeah.
He said that man King James was out there doing workout moves on them boys. Classic performance fam. # real killer. And then he had another one, and he was talking about. He said, "People act like I don't bust their favorite point guards' butts every week."
Yeah.
Just so much hate for a guy who hasn't even played this season.
Jeez.
And then, of course, we had all the Deshaun Watson and players reaching out. JJ Watt said, "Minor setback for major comeback. We've all seen what's possible. Can't wait to see what next. With you every step of the way." Of course, referring to his number. And then Russell Wilson also posted a picture of the two and said, "I know you'll come back stronger from this. Prayers up at Deshaun Watson." And then we have OBJ, last one. And there were reports before the trade deadline went down that Jarvis Landry was available, Dolphins wide receiver, and him and Odell Beckham, of course, played college football together. So OBJ saw this and quoted it and said, "Hey, get over here, give me my brother back." Of course, kind of pushing the Giants to make a move that they obviously didn't wind up making.
Wow. OBJ, he's great. What a sad story that the New York Giants have turned out to be. Without OBJ, Brandon Marshall, what a train wreck. That's to be kind. The Weston DeWitt Show with Eliav Gabay here on Blaze Radio and streaming live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Great job, Hot Topics of social media. By
Man, this was a fun show, huh?
Harley, you're out. What a great show, guys. Thank you again to Chris Cadeau. Very, very thankful and honored to call him a brother. Thank you for your service, Chris, if you're still listening. What a great show, guys. Come on back with us next week. We're going to have so much to talk about. Remember, guys, God is good. We are way too blessed to be stressed. Go out there and make a difference today. We'll be back next week. Till then, Eliav Gabay, we're out. See ya.
For my drinking, smoking, always fat, more than one. Chrome rims, rhino, chronic in your system, let me know.